In this lesson, we'll answer one of the most important questions in this course. Why writing copy should be our number one priority. And I don't mean that without writing the world will collapse, but I mean it for websites, design, and marketing. You hear it all the time. People don't buy features, they buy benefits. And then someone else jumps in to say, well, they don't buy benefits, they buy the story. There's some truth to both. And this is the foundation of everything we want you to achieve in this course. Writing lousy copy and potentially outsourcing it to people without an expert knowledge of your company might break a business. This is certainly true for websites. In the future lessons, we'll cover a lot of practical examples, but I'll give you one little spoiler to illustrate the point. When writing button labels, there's something called click fear. And if I'm not sure what the label means, subconsciously I won't click it. Let's say you are a SaaS company and the call to action reads, I don't know, see how it works. What does it mean to me? Do I get to watch a video? Is there a demo account I can use instantly? Or will I have to book a meeting with someone to show me around? There are hundreds of small triggers like that. Subtle copy mistakes can cause people to ask these questions. That's the first reason it's important to put emphasis on writing your content before investing in anything else. Saying things that don't make an impact is a waste of resources. Next, we have your brand. How many companies pay generously for brand guidelines which include nothing about the brand voice? And I'm not talking about the one-pager with 10 meaningless descriptions like sound firm but genuine. Even worse, how many get the voice guidelines but in the end they just collect virtual dust in a PDF that nobody ever opens? Words, whether spoken or written, are powerful. Over the years, Nike has used them to go from buy our shoes to just do it and creating an entire culture of Nike buyers. These shoes that probably have a high profit margin end up selling you a dream and often leaving you short of thousands of pounds for the collector's items. With Nike, you see an athlete who achieved great things, and as with athletes, they often started at the very bottom. Most people can relate to their struggles. Seeing someone who succeeded and vouched for a brand is powerful, but to get there, they had to tell an interesting story. If the story was crap, the celebrities would be less inclined to endorse it. Or Nike would simply go out of business offering lucrative contracts to promote a lousy story. Nobody would care if the same celebrities simply said their shoes are 10% better than Adidas. This directly reflects on business and digital marketing. Our equivalents of Nike athletes are brand ambassadors and the polarizing influencers. Getting the story right matters for everyone. And that's the point of using the well-known example of Nike and then transitioning into how this affects your business as well. It's the same for those at the very top, those just starting, and everyone in between. Finally, we get to reasons that are more hands-on with websites. They are technical, but I will make it approachable for you. A thing that I hate, and which is basically embedded in the agency culture, is writing copy last or later. You know, the copy can wait attitude. On one hand, it makes sense. Copy takes time. But I believe it takes more time than needed because of the attempts to make it perfect. And by the way, it is never perfect. But ditching perfection is a topic that transcends writing, so we'll not dwell on it now. Leaving writing for later makes sense only on the surface. Again, it's time consuming. I understand that you'd like to move along, maybe even create an illusion of being agile by writing copy at the same time as designers are creating layouts, interfaces, and containers for it. The question is, what exactly are they designing for? As a user experience designer, I wouldn't know. It's impossible without seeing the copy. Yet, To keep themselves busy, they're creating something that might end up being a waste of time. It might be visually pleasing, maybe they even adhere to some basic standards and user experience rules, but it's rare to get away with confining a story to a predefined box like that. Imagine telling Tolkien that, I don't know, the Lord of the Rings trilogy needs to be a single book. This is what agencies do every day to website copywriters. Now, I'm a firm believer that less is more, but it has to be organic, not forced like that. What's worse, the approach of confining the story to a designed finite area on a website usually happens in a silo. The designers, especially if outsourced, have got no clue about the rough volume of copy you will need. They're not in touch with the copywriters throughout the process. They don't know your business well enough. It's just disaster after disaster. Sometimes we need to do that though. Google search comes to mind first. Their angle is offering a unified experience on the search results page. Google limits the length of titles and descriptions in terms of pixels to give everyone fair competition. It's reasonable, but it's very much an exception. Yet you'll need to do it from time to time as well. So how about an example? I love long tail button labels. I don't want to click here. I want to download the PDF with 10 tips to be better at sales. But at some point, this may be too long. It breaks into multiple lines and the words wrap differently depending on the screen size. This can change the perception of what the button is. So there are exceptions to this approach, but as a rule of thumb, you want to start with the most important thing, the story. Then you design around it to get the most out of the essence of your company. Some people also make exceptions for websites relying on visuals, but let's face it, if that was as effective, you wouldn't be learning all of this right now. It's good to be aware of that and not fall into the elitist's mindset that copy is be all and end all, but to most businesses, it really is. Let's find out how to write it the right way in the upcoming lessons. See you then. Academic writing is not fit for purpose in digital marketing, period. It doesn't matter if you are writing specifically for scientists and scholars. Unless they are looking for an academic paper, your website cannot sound like an academic paper.